All right, everyone. Welcome once again to the Faces of Business. Man, am I excited today because with me, I've got Monte Clark from Abound Social. Monte, thanks for being here today, man.
My pleasure, brother. Great to be with you.
Oh, this is fun. Never done it before. Monte's never been a guest on the show. I'm excited because we're going to talk a little bit about LinkedIn well, first of all, this is going to be the best dang live stream ever. I
That's
know
right.
we
It
put a
will.
lot of expectations up on the board by saying that, but when you threw that out in the beginning,
Hey,
we got to go down with it.
we don't have to pull any punches. We'll just let it be
Nope,
raw.
nope. Let's do that. Let's do that. So, Monty, you hail from the mecca of marketing, Kansas City.
Yes.
So, first of all, nothing related to business. Are you a baseball fan or a football fan there with your teams there?
I'm mostly a football fan. I mean, I'm a bandwagon baseball fan, honestly. So when
Very
the
cool.
Royals were doing really well and winning the World Series, I was all over it. But
Yep.
I'm
Yep.
mostly football.
Very good. Very good. Well, that's the first stadium I ever went to a professional football game
Is
with.
it
I think
really?
I was like 13. My father and my cousins had season tickets there for many. I think they might even still have them. And it's got to be like 40 years now.
Wow.
And I was 13, 14 years old. My dad, mom packed up our whole family and brought us down. I got three brothers and a sister, so there was a bunch of us. And
Yeah.
we went to a game down there and went to a baseball game. So it was the first stadium I
Hmm.
ever saw a baseball game too, because they're right side by side.
Yeah. Totally.
And you guys had a heck of a run too with the new quarterback you guys had and the rest
Oh
of the
yeah.
team. You just had a really good team. So I bet it's been a lot of fun being there.
Yeah, it is. It's been fun. I'll tell you what. I mean, you went one of the easily top five stadiums that you can go to. I mean, in the NFL. I mean,
Yeah.
the crowd. It's like going to a college game. You know
Yeah.
how the crowd is there, but yeah. I mean, I don't get to go to a lot of the games really, especially now with Mahomes. The
Yeah.
ticket prices are astronomical, but still fun to watch.
Yeah, that's for sure. So when you think about marketing, let's take a step back because I'm looking through your history, looking through your background, and there's a couple things that have you've been in sales and marketing for quite a while. So let's
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about your background and how you really evolve or how you really became where you're at today or your decisions to get you here.
Yeah, I right out of college, I was a freelance designer. So
Okay.
I was doing design work. Um, that kind of quickly evolved as I was doing project based stuff into companies wanting me to help them more on the strategy. What's the strategy behind what we're doing and stuff. So uh, all of my marketing and sales experience came just real world practice, right?
Okay.
So watching what works, watching what people are doing. Over the years, have worked with all kinds of brands. I've worked with McDonald's and Coke, and all kinds of different project related stuff. But my real passion for marketing has started probably about 15 years into my career, where it morphed from just doing project based stuff to really working on strategies for companies and helping them. Once the internet kind of blossomed, the big website craze, evolved into SEO. And so I really focused on SEO for a period of time and helping people get views and stuff to their websites, trying to make them websites more effective. Um, had a LinkedIn account for a long time, never really did anything with it. Like a lot of people, I only had,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, maybe 501 connections or something like that. I'll fast forward a little bit to save boredom, but went to, I was VP of marketing for a local company here in Kansas City, and promises made, not kept. So I left that, decided I'm going to start back into my own company again, and decided I'm going to use LinkedIn. I'm going to try and make LinkedIn work for myself. If I can make it work for myself, maybe I can turn it into a business and make it work for some other people. So I initially started posting on a daily basis about SEO, and spent about the first 6 months talking with people about SEO, and started to figure out the algorithm and what LinkedIn was doing, what was successful, what would get engagement to posts and content. So I was focused really on the marketing side of LinkedIn, and wind up writing a book about it within a year.
Mm-hmm.
Started writing a book about how LinkedIn works, what you can do with it, and how you can actually build a business with it. So that went really well. Still out on Amazon. You can still go out and get a copy of it. It's called Mastering LinkedIn. But from that, once I started figuring out how I can make it work for myself, then I launched into trying to teach other people how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it eventually evolved to the point where I met my current business partner, and Isaac Anderson. He's here in Kansas City as well. And he was focused more on the sales end. So I had a machine, if you would, built for the marketing aspect of LinkedIn, and he was focusing on more of the sales. And and the funny thing is, we're in each other's backyard, but we were introduced by Judy Hayes, who lives in New York City.
Uh-huh.
He introduced us both on LinkedIn, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that just shows power of LinkedIn, really. But, LinkedIn is such a phenomenal tool because it perfectly marries marketing and sales. And so if you can figure out how to do those together, then you can really build any business in the B2B space using LinkedIn. And it's unlike any other platform. So we put the companies together. We call it Abound Social. And over here, we call it Abound Social. And the rest is history. I mean, we've been growing, and everything has been working really well, helping a lot of people not only learn it, but also build their companies.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. So as you've gone through this, I got some questions, because there's the thing that I think that it's funny when you talk to someone that in starting a business or going through things, they're like, oh, this and that, and you always hear about the good things, and they really don't understand some of the trials and challenges you really face running a business. And so what was one of the first things you learned as you started down this road trying to build a business on LinkedIn? Thinking back to that.
It's hard.
Yep.
It's not easy. It's LinkedIn is a fantastic tool, but that's really all it is. I mean, you can, it's not a hammer. You can't use it. There's not just one use for it, right? I mean, there's so much to LinkedIn, and there's so many different things that you can learn, but your basic business principles still apply. And one thing that I had to learn over time is that LinkedIn is like a live networking event. It's not a lead list. And that's where most people go wrong. They treat LinkedIn like it's some kind of a lead list, and they get too transactional in their approach. But what it really is a relationship funnel. And the more relationships you can establish and nurture, and the more likability that you can create around yourself and your own personal brand, they say, the better you're going to do. And it does take time, but it doesn't have to take an extensive amount of time. If you have the right strategy, and if you work the platform like it's a live networking event, and you have the right strategy around the content and the messaging that you're doing, combined with the right approach for your outreach, then those activities will compound month over month. And in time, you will build a very consistent, steady growth business, right?
Mm-hmm.
But most people don't give themselves enough runway, and they wind up getting transactional really fast. And, in 2019, sales changed, or 2020 rather, sales changed because the whole country locked down. Nobody was able to do business. So what happened was the old traditional, cold outreach prospecting hit LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So it was just connect and pitch, connect and pitch. So everybody's getting pitched left and right. So now it's, to do today what you could do pre 2020 or at the beginning of 2020 is significantly more challenging because everybody is weary of the pitch.
Yeah, I'm writing that down.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone is wary of the pitch. Well, and
Yeah,
I feel it.
you know what?
I feel it every time someone connects with me. Once it sends me a connection request, it's like,
You
oh,
expect it.
and there's some of them, right? You can tell from the connection request message that you are going to get pitched. And I honestly, I connect with some of those people to see what's going to come next.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you want to see what's going to come next, because you never know.
What are you gonna do?
Hey,
Yeah.
could be the best one you've ever seen. You're like, wow, maybe I learned something. So Gail Robertson said it best when she coined the term, I get pitch slapped every day. She just get the pitch slap. But
the thing of it is, nowadays, even asking to meet with somebody or do a Zoom call or something is also seen as a pitch.
Yeah.
So even getting too close too fast, right, is hard to do. So you got to take a different approach.
Well, and I've done before, sent people that I loosely know messages on like when we have free webinars to attend, and like, hey, what are you bothering me for? Like, well, I looked at your business. I thought you'd, and then they're okay, because then as soon as you send a follow-up message and say, hey, this is what I thought, and they realize that you actually read their profile and you understand why they sent it, then it's a little bit better in some cases. And some people are, I guess, smart enough they don't need any help ever, so, or need to meet anybody else. But it's there are those people. So it is interesting though, and you're right, it did change an awful lot. So what's the worst message that you've seen sent to you?
The worst messages I always see are people who are just trying to sell me my own services,
Yeah.
And it's just but here's what's funny about it. I help people build business on LinkedIn. So part of that is lead generation, right?
Yeah.
So if that's what I do, and you're just sending me an automated message, in my mind, I'm always saying, why in the world would anybody use your services? Okay. Because you're scamming everybody about this, and you're not even using the platform as it can be, or as it should be used to develop any relationships around it. You're just going for the off chance that somebody is desperate enough to say, yeah, I'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just funny because it's, I already know that they're not going to be effective with that, because they're sending who would potentially be a competitor, the same message asking for me to be a client. So those are always it always cracks me up. I always respond to them, that's saying I can show them a better way to do their own business.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. I actually had someone, I guess if you could call them a competitor, but sent me a industry specific thing. Had no idea that I didn't have a business in the industry I work in, and went through, and it's still going. I think we're into like week 3 or 4 of cadence that they're doing. But it's interesting to see what some companies spend a lot of money on.
Yeah,
it is interesting.
It blows my mind, really.
Yeah. So when you got on LinkedIn, first of all, do you remember? Do you know off the top of your head what the day was? The year was you got on LinkedIn?
May 19th, 2019.
Oh, really? You got on 2019?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you started in 2019, and then you started your business in 2019. Holy buckets!
Yes, I started my business in May of 2019. We rolled around to 2020 and the world shut down.
Yeah.
But honestly, it actually helped my business. I
Yes.
was just one of the fortunate ones because my business was all about LinkedIn and helping people to do what everybody was jumping on LinkedIn hoping that they could do.
Yeah.
So we actually had a pretty substantial growth period in 2020.
Nice. Yeah. Well, let's talk about that. Do you think that the traditionalists have learned anything from it? Do you think they're just saying, "Oh, LinkedIn was good while we had COVID and we were shut down," but we're moving away from that? Do you think that they've learned that, or that it's part of what we should be doing? Or
I think that I think that if you are younger, like the younger generation of people that are users that are on LinkedIn that are in sales, pick it up and believe in it and are successful with it.
okay.
I think the older generation, like us and above, or later, who are just pick up the phone, just pick up the phone and call people. That's the approach that they take to LinkedIn. And what they say is LinkedIn doesn't work. Well, it doesn't work with that process. And they're right. But it's just like anything. If you're not willing to learn a new process, and if you're not willing to learn a new technology, it'll never work for you and you'll get left behind. So, what we find a lot when we work with corporate accounts is that anytime we can find a client who has, or a potential client who has a sales leader that understands relationship building, then we can work with them. They're going to be successful because they're going to look at the right KPIs. Anytime we have somebody that's stuck in an old school sales process of cold outreach that's transactional, they will never be successful. And what we've found is that, they're not really successful even in their current, those businesses are usually somewhat struggling or not growing as quickly as they could be because they're still stuck trying to use an old system that's not working. And the only reason that they're successful is they're just going by sheer volume, but the amount of opportunity that they leave on the table is astronomical.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, because it's just like if you look at any cold outreach campaign, you got a very low percentage, but if I got a 0.5% and I call 100,000 people, I know I'm going to get this many. And but there's the other, if the total buying population in that is 3% want to buy at any given time, not that you're trying to shoot for that, but over time, how many of those people would buy is a much higher percentage. And it's you can take your time and build a much better
pipeline.
Pipeline of people that want to talk to you.
Well, most companies, you can always tell a company that is stuck in an old school sales process because they'll just go get some kind of automation.
Yeah.
And that their sales team will just only be engaged in automated messages that are primarily transactional. And those are the ones that you get hit in your inbox on a daily basis. People that are wanting to connect with you, and all of a sudden it's just 3 messages in, it's just that immediate pitch.
Yeah.
So the reason why, and we will not work with those companies because 95% of the market, this is a fact. Okay, 95% of your market's not going to be ready to buy today.
Mm-hmm.
So if your approach to LinkedIn is, I got to go find 5% who are, what you're actually doing is you're finding 5% of people who are already in the process of comparing providers. So now you're into a price match, right? You haven't developed a relationship at all. So you're down to price comparison. And what you have done, if you take the transactional approach, that remaining 95%, you're going to lose that opportunity, because the minute you get pitchy with them, they're not going to want to do business with you. They're not even going to want to talk to you, right? So it's very difficult to go in and start a relationship with somebody after you've pitched them.
Mm-hmm.
To your point, you've got to come back and go, well, I've looked at your profile and I've done, all these different things. But most people lose that opportunity, and they don't take the time to invest in the relationship. Where if you have a company or if you have an individual and they look at LinkedIn as a relationship funnel, it's how many people that can you connect with in your target market that you can put into the top of that relationship funnel. Understand where, the opportunity is to understand where they are in their buyer's journey. And you can't force somebody through that buyer journey. It's their own journey. They take it on their own, right? But you can get in the middle of it, and then you can nurture them through it. And when you do that, you're establishing relationships, you're solving problems, and they will do business with you. It's just a matter of time when they will, right?
Mm-hmm.
So anybody that can do that with LinkedIn is going to be successful, and they're going to build a business, and they're going to build a big business, and a successful one. Because if you're doing that month over month, you're continually putting people in that top of that funnel. You're continually trying to get in the middle of that buyer journey and sift them through into conversation face to face like this, to where then that's where business is done. No business is done on LinkedIn. All business is done off platform when you have a conversation like this. It's just how can you make that happen?
Yeah, it's really surprising to me how many people think that you're going to close business on LinkedIn.
Well, you can't swipe a credit card.
Yeah. I mean, but they think they're going to, get it as close as you can. And really it is about, because like you said, it's a live networking event.
Mm-hmm.
It's meeting people. It's how many people, it's how many good people do you talk to a week that are, potentially could introduce you to the next person, could potentially be a customer if something works out right down the road, and just to figure out where they're at. Because honestly, if you're in business, I mean, okay, I don't know if I'm going to use the wrong words probably, but if you've been in business a while, you're going to be picky. And I know I'm not using the right words, but you should understand who your perfect client is, right? Kurt Anderson, niche down, right? Niche down. So if you get a call from somebody that's outside of your industry, but they need some help or something, you can be talking to them, but you're going to talk to a lot of people that aren't going to be a fit. You could potentially help in other ways and move them to the help they need. There's just so much about, like you said, it's a live networking event to meet people, understand where they're at, help them out if you can. And that comes around in time.
100%. In fact, we had a client and that we had signed up a few weeks ago. And it became very apparent that they actually needed to work with somebody who is technically one of our competitors, because they were better suited to take care of that client than we were. And I made the connection with our competitor, and I said, this is our client, but they're better suited to work with you. I'm going to hand them over to you. And they did a call together, said, yep, it's a fit. Let's work together. So, I mean, those types of things should be happening all the time. We're a community. We should be able to help grow each other's businesses.
Yeah.
And there's enough for everybody. There's almost 900 million people on LinkedIn right now.
Yes.
So
Yes.
if you can't find the right people to do business with, you're just doing it wrong.
Yeah. 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 Well, and it's people say, well, it's not my mark. People in my market aren't here, and it's just not true.
That's the funniest thing that I hear that people say. Oh, my market's not on LinkedIn. Oh yeah. Then you do a sales navigator search or just a basic search on LinkedIn, and you find a million of them. Oh, well, they're not active. Oh yeah, they are. Every single market that's in B2B, right, is on LinkedIn, and markets who are not B2B are on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and I'm amazed too, because I think I started posting 5 days a week. I don't post on the weekends unless I'm just screwing around and doing something. I post 5 days a week, and I started in late 2019. And I'll tell you, I am amazed at the people that I haven't talked to for 10 years, and I'll see them and they'll say, I see you post your posts all the time on LinkedIn. And I'm like, you're in Houston, haven't talked to you in 10 years. You're in business in Houston, which is good. And you're seeing my stuff. I said, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But it's just like people say you're not on there. They are. People are on there.
Oh, and I think that we call them lurkers. There's more lurkers on LinkedIn than anything else, right? And there's like we had a client. We were working with him on posting, and 4 weeks into working with us, he came back and he said, I went to dinner last night and my waiter said, hey, you're that guy on LinkedIn. I see your posts all the time.
Nice.
So, the waiter, everybody's on LinkedIn. And the opportunity there is pretty substantial.
Yeah. So, one of the things I thought about before we talked is it would have been interesting if we could somehow pull up LinkedIn from 15 years ago and just look at it back then.
Yeah.
Because I looked at my date today because I was going to ask you. I signed up in 2005. And I probably had, 3 connections for 10 years. But it's interesting to see how this platform has really changed. And just, when you think about just in the past few years, the live streaming, the videos, how the videos have been integrated into it, and the creator thing now, and there's just so many different ways to get great content out, to engage with people, share good information. I wonder, what are some of the things that you think are coming up for LinkedIn that would be really cool?
Well, let me tell you something real quick. I've got some friends in Silicon Valley, and I have one friend who was one of the first 100 people on LinkedIn.
Wow.
When it launched.
Yeah.
He has over 300,000 followers. Right? When he posts, he will not get any engagement at all.
Yep.
Okay. So the size of your network is not really a factor. It can be. It can be. But my point is, way back when LinkedIn launched, all the way up to when Microsoft bought it out, it was super easy to get connections. And that's what he told me too. It's just like, people are just connecting with everybody. It was just, that's what you did. You just made connections. That's what it was for. Well, it's very hard to get connections now, and LinkedIn has made it that way. I think that, and I should say Microsoft has made it that way. I think Microsoft came in and they understood the value of what valuable networks are, right? So they significantly limited your ability to make those connections. And now people, if you work LinkedIn, you've got to be pretty focused about, working LinkedIn for the right people.
Mm-hmm.
What I think will be coming down the road, they're always, they're there to make money.
Yes.
So I think they're going to be adding to their paid features. With Sales Navigator, they made huge improvements to Sales Navigator this year. I think they'll continue to do that. I think it's going to continue to get more and more CRM, related. I think that ultimately at some point they'll probably compete with all these CRMs.
Yeah.
I honestly think that's their biggest opportunity. I think they don't do it now because I think they would have problems with it. But I think that's definitely where it's going. Quite honestly, all these platforms are kind of the same.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think as Web3 and the metaverse and stuff like that, I think they'll probably be launching into more virtual spaces and stuff like that. I could see them moving groups into more of a metaverse style, scenario where you can be a part of a virtual group like that.
That might actually put some life back into them.
I think it'd be pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, I do too. I think that would be cool.
So I think it'll take them a long time. And they don't, the thing about LinkedIn is they don't usually come up with their own, they're not first in the water.
It is Microsoft. I mean,
it totally is.
They buy like a gazillion innovative companies and then just fold them in. That's what they do.
No doubt about it, and they kind of like sit back and wait to see what works. And they're like, okay, we'll try that. That's why you've now got, all of your voice meetings like Clubhouse. The Clubhouse came along, then Twitter, Instagram. They're all incorporating it, and like a year later, LinkedIn goes, "Oh, maybe we should do Clubhouse." Type stuff. It's gonna fail too. I mean, I don't.
Yeah,
they're acting like they're gonna pour more into it, but nobody wants to sit on voice calls for hours. So
yeah, we did that already for decades.
Exactly.
And decided we didn't like it. And the only thing I do have to say that people talk about getting Zoom fatigue, and I understand when you're on it. I mean, I'm on it a lot all day long on video calls, but it's weird talking on the phone now without seeing somebody.
Totally.
Isn't it? I mean, or is it just me? Because it's like someone wants to talk to me on the phone. I'm like, what?
Yeah. What the phone?
yeah. What the phone? There you go. I mean, if I'm out someplace and can't do a video call, maybe.
Does it also drive you nuts when you start a Zoom call and somebody refuses to turn on their camera?
Yeah, that's funny too.
I'm like, now these days, I'll wait a second. I'll wait a second before I turn on my camera, and then I'll go, "Oh, sorry, I forgot to turn on my camera." And it usually prompts them to turn theirs on too, but it's just like, I've had those calls where you're sitting on the camera and they're seeing you and you can't see them. And it just seems, it's unfair. I'm like, you get to see this part of communication. I don't get to see yours. So that's not fair.
Yes. And that's tricky too. Cause I'll tell you, it's tricked me more than once that I haven't been thinking about it because I don't see a face. And yes, look at me. I'm older. I do have opinions. I'll roll my eyes or something, like I'll go like this or something, and I forget that they're on the phone. Somebody says something really stupid. It's like that. It's like, oh, exactly. God, what did I just do?
It's fair game if you're not going to be on the phone.
Yeah,
If
I
you're not
guess.
going to
I
be on the
guess it
camera,
is.
you know.
But it is interesting though how this has really changed and the way LinkedIn has integrated the lives and stuff. I mean, there's a vibrant community of people that are really getting some good. I mean, you talk about industry specific shows. You look at like Chris Lukey or Will Healy or some of these people that are, oh, I'm a robotics person, or I'm in this part of manufacturing or something. And I see because I'm around manufacturing, that's what I know. And, they're really doing some, showing the new technology, showing implementation, examples of things. And man, it's really, it's incredible what somebody can learn if you just want to take the time to seek the right people out.
No doubt about it. I mean, there's experts in literally any niche on this platform.
Yeah.
And if you want to find the expert in the niche, just search the hashtag for, whatever industry it is. And you'll ultimately find somebody who's posting on a daily or regular basis, and they'll teach you everything. I mean, it's amazing.
Yep. I'm writing that down because I do need to look at more industry hashtags. I don't do that enough.
Yeah. It's a good way to go. Good way to find people.
Yeah. So I got to ask you, I've got questions written down here. I'm getting over here. So, what are some of the things that you do daily on LinkedIn?
You want my daily routine?
Oh, if you want to share your daily routine, that's fine. Or, high points of it, whatever you want to talk about.
So I've gotten to the point now where I don't store up my content, right? I don't write it ahead of time. It just kind of naturally comes to me now. So I will, I'll post Monday through Friday like you. I don't typically post on the weekends either, just because I'm on social media all day, every day. So I need to have a break, right? I need to put it down. And my grass gets way too high. So, life has to come back into play.
You have a family.
I do.
Enough said.
So I will typically have my post live by 7:30 every morning, Central Standard Time. And that's important, right? You need to be there at the same time. You need to be consistent. So whatever you're going to do, be consistent with it, post it at the same time. So I will post, I will sit for an hour and I will engage other people's content on the platform from 7:30 to 8:30 every day. And I'll find new people. And then I have a lot of people that engage me on a regular basis, yourself, who I like to go and engage those people on a daily basis as well. So that's how you build up, what they call the tribe, right? Your group of people who you appreciate their content. They're there all the time, and you're just engaging one another. So I'll do that from 7:30 to 8:30. I'll typically have calls. I have all my calls mostly start at 9 o'clock. These days, it's back to back until 5. But in between calls, I will go respond to whatever LinkedIn notifies me about, whether somebody is putting comments, on my content, or I'll jump in and then go find, like if I'm on a call with a new prospect, after the call, I'll go find their profile and find content that they have, and I'll engage it, right? So that's one of the things that you can just kind of continue the conversation after you've had a call with somebody. And I'll do that just kind of throughout the day. It's entirely about combining your inbound efforts through your content and your engagement. And what most people miss is that if you put a comment on somebody's post, it's considered content. So when you're out there and you're posting, don't just put thanks for sharing or nice post, engage it. That's what it's there for, right? So put a quality comment because it's going to show up to your network. So I'll try and engage in a good way. And mostly my engagement is for the purpose of establishing likability. I just want people, when I get on a call with people, I want people to feel like they already know me.
Yeah.
And it's because they have looked at my content. They do see how I engage people, and anytime you get somebody that's saying something negative about your content and stuff like that, don't worry about it. Just respond in a good way. I've had a lot of people that have, first time I meet with them, made mention about some way that I interacted with somebody that's saying something stupid, so that increases your likability too. Always be positive on the platform.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of my process, and
Yeah.
it's worked well for me. I combine the I will always be connecting, trying to find good people, quality people that I can actually do business with, that I will go connect with and try and establish relationships on a daily basis, in addition to working my inbound demand generation through the posts and engagement that I have on the platform. So another thing a lot of people do, they don't connect right. They're just accepting any old connection, and they're just going after, they're trying to build up a number. Well, the number doesn't matter if you can't do any business, right? So, and that holds true whether you're trying to find a job, whether you're trying to do a business, or whether you have a job. At some point, you may need to find another job, or you may need to add value to the current company that you're with. So you always want to connect in a good way and with purpose in mind, not just kind of willy-nilly. I am a LinkedIn open networker and I'll build up whoever I want.
Yeah. Good. Well, thanks for sharing that. That's awesome. Because I know a lot of people think, well, I'm not going to get on and post. And I always tell people, I mean, post isn't where you build, because I post 5 days a week, that's not where you build the relationships. It's when you go on somebody else's post, or you respond to somebody else's stuff, or you go, or you go look at their profile and just message them and say, hey, your profile picture that you just put up looks awesome, or whatever it is, or that's where you build the relationship. So posting, I feel like I can't think about what to post. Okay, well, go comment. Go comment. Totally. Make thoughtful comments, like you said, and do that.
Yeah, it's absolutely the truth. I mean, you don't, if you didn't post at all, but you went out and put 10 comments a day on people's content, you're gonna establish new connections. You're gonna establish new relationships. Have the opportunity to take those conversations into your direct messaging. It'll have the same effect, and sometimes even more effect than posting your own content. So
yeah. Yep. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. So as you're looking at the future, what are you guys got anything new that's coming out? What's been going on in your business?
Yeah, traditionally, my company has worked with corporate accounts. So any company that has at least sales or 3 salespeople, we will work with them both from a marketing standpoint and a business development standpoint. What we're excited about now, though, is in the process of doing that, we've had a lot of people that are individuals. Your solopreneurs, coaches, consultants, small business owners that don't have salespeople come and say, we'd like to work with you. Is there anything you can do for us? And so really excited about this right here, this 2,000 fish product that we just came out with. And the whole concept around there is with those corporate accounts, that's kind of a white glove service. We'll do it all for you, right? This 2,000 fish product that we're launching is we're going to do it with you. Okay. We'll take everything that we know about marketing and sales on LinkedIn, and we'll give it to you on a monthly basis. We'll walk alongside you And the 2,000 part is, if we can put 2,000 connections that are part of your target market in your account over the next year, how many of those can we pull into the boat that you can do business with? Okay. So we provide a ton of amazing resources for people, in addition to just walking alongside them month over month, coaching them along, helping them with conversations, helping them with getting in front of people and building their business. So, and the price is just
nice.
great. It's affordable literally for anybody on the platform.
Nice. Well, that's awesome and exciting too, because it is about putting the right people in the boat.
Yeah.
And it's getting those 2,000 fish in your pond or whatever you want to call it, and going from there. So that's cool. And yeah, trying to think if there's any other questions. I'm looking through my list here in front of them. We got those. I think it would just say, Matthew, thanks for the question. Building relationships. He hit that early. Matthew's a friend of mine out of Florida.
Nice.
That's the thing that has been so much fun for me in LinkedIn is just, the number of people you get to meet, and interesting people. May not, it's not going to do business with a lot of them, but just interesting people. It's just phenomenal. And
I have one of these days, I'm gonna, when gas won't cost me as much as my mortgage, to put in my car.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do like so this guy Bob Sager a year ago. Do you know Bob?
Yeah. Yep.
Great
I've
guy.
seen him anyway. I've seen him.
Yeah, great guy. He had to take a trip to Seattle, actually.
Yeah.
And because he has a client in Seattle, and he wasn't, I don't think he was all the way on the East Coast, but he's more east than I am in Kansas City. So he decided, I'm going to drive there, and I'm going to stop at all the major cities that I have connections and that I've built relationships with people on LinkedIn. And he stopped at like 15 different cities all the way going out there and met with people that he was connected with and had relationship on LinkedIn. I'm going to do that someday. I'm just going to go east to west coast, just stop and make it like a Food Network thing where they go, the dinners, drive-ins and dives thing, I want to go restaurants and LinkedIn connections. And I'm just going to say, I'm going to be in your city. Tell me what the best restaurant is there. We're going to meet there. I'll buy you dinner and let's meet.
Yep.
That'd be fun.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I did it a few weeks ago when I was in Las Vegas. I met Majid Zafir, a guy that I've met on LinkedIn a couple of years ago. Great guy. We had a wonderful conversation. Yeah. We're going to be talking again, I think, next week.
That's awesome.
So yeah. It's just, it's fun. I think that's an awesome thing to do. And it is really interesting because you do, people, you feel like you know them because you do to a certain extent. And it's great to be able to meet them in person.
Quite honestly, there is no other platform like LinkedIn.
Yeah.
There's no other platform where you actually establish relationships and have conversations than LinkedIn. And I've got a very good friend that I'm excited to get to meet someday in Spain, that he and I talk all the time on LinkedIn. I've got a guy in South Africa that I want to go meet someday. England. I mean, all over the world, I've got people that I know and have never met, face to face. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Part of my bucket list.
There you go, Monte. Well, it's great to have you on today. We had Monte Clark from Abound Social, sharing, just making this the best dang live stream ever. Talking about LinkedIn, talking about Abound Social, some of the things they're doing there, some of the things you've learned over the years in LinkedIn. I want to thank you for being here, Monte.
Hey, my pleasure. I'll do it anytime.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for listening. And we will be back next week with another episode. Woo! Next week, we're getting close to the 4th of July holiday. We just got one on Tuesday, and then we're taking the weekend off and having a good time. So we will see you next week. Thanks a lot, everyone.